To understand French society before the Revolution, you need to understand the estates system. The estates system consisted of three estates. The first estate, which was the clergy, people who worked in the church. The second estate was the nobility, the king and queen's friends, knights, nobility. And then the third estate was everyone else, which included the lawyers, doctors, businessmen, merchants, soldiers, craftsmen, shopkeepers, and peasants. And the third estate was the only one that paid taxes and was the one who took the blunt of the monarchy's wrath. So, to understand just how bad the third estate had it, they were the only ones who paid taxes, as we mentioned. France in the 1780s was completely bankrupt. They ran out of money helping the Americans in the American Revolution across the Atlantic. France was in extreme debt, and to make it worse, the king and queen kept spending money on lavish lifestyles, even while the country was completely bankrupt and the peasants had no money. The queen gained the nickname Madame Deficit, and the people began to resent the monarchy as a result. King Louis XVI also struggled in decision-making. He was not a very good decision-maker, and he did not take precise action. Not taking precise action is what led to King Louis XVI's lack of precise action would lead him to calling the estates general, but he would give each estate one vote. Now this would mean that if they wanted to vote to raise taxes, the second estate and the first estate would just need to vote 2-1, and then taxes would be raised on the third estate, since they are the only ones who truly paid taxes. This unfair system would lead to This unfair system of the Estates General would lead to the Third Estate leaving, and then they would form their own government called the National Assembly. They took a tennis court oath and vowed that they would not stop meeting until France had a constitution to hold the king accountable. And in 1789, they stormed the Bastille, and the rebellion had forced the king to agree to a constitution limiting his power. So, let's talk about post-revolutionary France now. The downfall of the... No, not post-revolutionary, not yet. So, the monarch became a figurehead, while the Constitution established the National Assembly as the people who would run the country. This relationship between the peasants and the king during the constitutional monarchy was still uneasy. The radical Jacobins, under the leadership of Maximilien Robespierre, continued to get more and more power in the National Assembly, and they called for the complete abolition of the monarchy, while the king resented having his powers taken away and being reduced to nothing but a figurehead. Things would escalate when King Louis would try to leave the country in 1791. He was caught, the monarchy was abolished, and the king was killed a year later. This brings us to the final chapter.